Hello and welcome to the Baillie Gifford Schools Programme launch for the Edinburgh International Book Festival. I'm Rachel Fox, the Children and Schools Programme Director.
And I'm Catherine Jones, the Creative Learning Manager.
So this year we are delighted to be welcoming, hopefully, schools and authors onto site in person for all of the schools events this year. We're also filming them all so you can watch them back. The biggest news we have to share, which we're super excited about, again, thanks to Baillie Gifford, is that this year all of the schools programme will be completely free. So you won't have to pay for a single ticket, you just need to book on to come to site, and it's still free to watch online. On top of that, we also are going to be able to give every pupil that comes to site to watch an event a book, and that book can be signed by an author that should hopefully also be on site. So we are absolutely delighted to be able to offer a completely free schools programme and a free book. And on top of that, you can still apply for a contribution to your bus fund.
And if that wasn't enough free stuff, we've also got a competition for all of you watching at home tonight. All you have to do to win a bundle of books for your class is to introduce yourself in the comments section just underneath us now, letting us know which school you're from and which class you teach. You can also ask any questions that you want in that chat box at any time, and we'll be joining you live at the end to answer them. Although we're ridiculously excited about welcoming you and your pupils back to the festival at our new site at Edinburgh College of Art this year, we want to make sure that we're doing that in a way which is as safe as possible for everyone. And we will, of course, be following all Government and City of Edinburgh Council guidelines at the time of the festival. We also want you to be confident in booking your trip to the book festival this year. If, because of COVID, your visit has to be cancelled by either yourselves or the book festival, or your numbers have to be reduced, there's no issue around ticket refunds because all of the tickets are free thanks to our sponsors Baillie Gifford. You can still watch your event online, either live streamed or on demand at a later time, and you'll still receive your free books delivered to your school. Schools receiving transport funding will still receive a contribution towards any travel costs you've already incurred, such as deposits for your bus. And of course, you can still access our free online learning resources before or after you watch your event online. And a full risk assessment is available on request. We'll give you more information later on all of the logistics of how and when you can book your tickets and access events and resources. But for now, I'm going to pass over to Rachel, who is going to give you a special insight into our school's events and why she's so excited about each and every one of them.
Thank you, Catherine. So now I'm going to talk through the individual events that we've got for the schools programme this year, which we're super excited about. But I'm first going to talk about 3 primary school events that fall out with the Gala Day, which I'll talk about at the very end. The first of which is with MG Leonard and Sam Sedgman. So they'll be joining us to talk about Danger at Dead Man's Pass, which is the 4th in their Adventures on Trains series. The first of which started with the Highland Falcon up in Scotland. And so they've moved around different countries. And you'll hear all about this new thrilling adventure, including code breaking and lots of things for train lovers in there as well. The next primary event that we've got is with Pamela Butchart, who, if you watched our Gala Day last year, you will have seen her expertly chairing a Q&A with every single author that we had. And indeed, she asked them all what their favourite crisp flavour was, which I think is a great question. And in her new book, The Secret School Invasion, she'll also be talking about crisps, but there will be Izzy Investigates with a new school that kind of infiltrates the school that she's in, with lots of drama and hijinks ensuing. And then the other one that I was going to talk about from the primary schools perspective is Maisie Chan, who was in our schools programme last year with Danny Chung Does Not Do Maths. She's coming back this year with Keep Dancing Lizzie Chu, which was written over lockdown and kind of stems from her love of Strictly Come Dancing. So you'll hear about the inspiration behind the book and how you can weave hobbies into writing your own books. Right, so now I'm going to talk you through the events for secondary schools, the first of which is, amazingly, Jason Reynolds, all the way from America, in person as everyone is, with Patrice Lawrence, our UK-based author. Jason will be talking about When I Was the Greatest, which is actually his first ever novel, but it hasn't been published in the UK until now. It features a character with ADHD who uses knitting to kind of stem the tics that he has. And Incidentally, Patrice Lawrence has just written a new novel, Needle, which also features a knitting protagonist. Both of the stories involve the characters kind of falling foul of the law and people's misconceptions of them. And so it's a really good exploration into societal injustices and how we can help affect change. And then on the same day, we also have Nikita Gill, who is an internationally renowned poet. She has over 640,000 followers on Instagram, and her poetry is inspiring and empowering. So she'll be talking to children about how they can write their own stories and how to channel the issues that they face in life through poetry. And then we have the wonderful Dean Atta, who is now based in Glasgow, and so is his new book, Only on the Weekends. In it, we meet Mac, who moves to Scotland, to Glasgow, when his dad gets a job there, and is torn between the fellow that he meets there and the fellow that he's left behind at home. So it's an incredible book. It's written in verse, as was The Black Flamingo. Dean is just a fantastic event, so that's not one to be missed. Now I'm going to talk to you about a very special event. It's an immersive installation with author Sita Kamari and her illustrator Natalie Siret. They have written a book together called When Shadows Fall. And in order to make the event interactive, they are bringing a Raven treasure box to the event. And inside the box, there are different kind of hints and prompts as to the poignant parts of the story. So they'll be going through that with the pupils that attend, and they'll be sort of talking about how their collaborative process between writing and illustration came into being, and they'll help the children kind of use the prompts inside the treasure box as a catalyst to write their own stories. The next two events I'm going to talk about are super exciting. They are part of a new collaboration with the Edinburgh International Book Festival and the YA Book Prize. The YA Book Prize is the only prize in the UK to celebrate UK-based YA authors. And so we have teamed up with them. I will be a judge again. I was last year and the year before. We've teamed up with them to present the shortlisted authors in 2 panels for schools. And then there will be an award ceremony in the public programme where we crown the winner of this year's YA Book Prize. So the 2 panels will feature up to 5 of the authors that have been shortlisted. The last few years it's been 10 because there are so many great books out there. So they'll all be very different and they'll all be brilliant. So you can join us for either one of those 2 panels and you'll get to see up to 5 of the authors that are shortlisted talking about the books, their inspiration and their journey into publishing. So the next event I'm going to talk about is with podcaster and author Alexis Court. He will be presenting his new book, Queer Up, an uplifting guide to LGBTQ+ love, life and mental health. The book does contain collaborations with other authors that I'm sure he'll talk about, but he'll be talking through his inclusive account of what it means to grow up queer, from questioning and pride to relationships and allyship. Perfect for young people who are queer or questioning and their allies looking better to support them. So now I'm excited to be talking to you about the Gala Day on Tuesday, the 30th of August, which is again back to in real life with free tickets and free books. The first author I'm going to talk about is Lindsay Littleson. She's written a book that is based in Scotland and it's about Scottish rewilding. It's action-packed adventure featuring a grandma that takes in a cat that turns out to be a lynx, and it also features Scotland's rainforests. So this is a really interesting adventure, but it also tells us something about conservation and has a strong message of how we can help protect the planet. And the next event is with the editors of the Beano, Craig Graham and Mike Sterling. This is going to be an interactive event about the inspiration and secrets behind their characters, and all the children will be involved in creating their own funny story during the event. Also, Polly Ho Yen joins us to talk about The Boy Who Grew a Tree, which is all about a boy that is trying to save a magic tree that starts growing in his library, but unfortunately the library is due to be knocked down, as many sadly are. So this is a story that is about how you can affect change and conserve the things that mean the most to us, what we can do to make a difference. Author Sarina Patel joins us to talk about her hilarious series, Anisha Accidental Detective. This time, Anisha goes on holiday, and of course, adventure follows her wherever she goes. So she has to work out who has stolen the holiday home mascot, and it is obviously full of lols which I'm sure you'll all take part in too. We're also joined by author and BBC Radio Scotland Drive Time presenter Nick Sheridan to talk about his new book, Fake News. In the event, he'll help children understand where news comes from, how stories are made up, and obviously how they are honestly reported on. And it will be an interesting discussion with input from the children about what's real and what's not, and how you can deduce what is fake news. David C. Flanagan is next up. He is going to be joining us all the way from Orkney, where he lives. He'll be reading from his brand new book, the second in the series of Uncle Pete, and this one is Uncle Pete and the Forest of Lost Things. It involves scary, gigantic cats and other obstacles and lots of jam sandwiches. This one will again be extremely funny. And finally, I'm going to let Georgie Stevens introduce her own book because she'll be joining us to talk about climate action.
Hi, my name is Georgie Stevens and I am the author of this book, Climate Action. And this is a book all about the climate crisis, what's causing it, what's happening around the world, and also about all the amazing people that are doing something, particularly the young people that are doing things to make positive change on our climate crisis. And it's also about what each and every one of us can do to take action every day in our everyday lives. And I am so excited to be coming up to Edinburgh on the train, of course, to see you all, to talk about this book at the Edinburgh International Book Festival. And the title of my session is going to be All You Need Is Love, Changing the World for the Better. And I'm going to be talking about how some of the most incredible people around the world who you will know and have heard of have been able to make such huge positive impact on our planet purely because of their love for nature, something that they grew up with and had from a very early age, and how this love for nature helped propel them to make huge change, but also helped to protect them whilst they were doing that very important work. And so I'm going to talk a lot about that and why it's critical that we all fall in love with nature to help make us want to save this beautiful world. And as you might be able to see out of the window, I'm talking to you from the beautiful Lake District. And so this week, whilst I'm on holiday in the Lake District, I'm really using this opportunity to draw on my passion for nature, to remind myself why I love this planet and this country so very much. Now, I'm also going to be talking about some exciting detective work in that session, because we're going to be talking about how being a detective can help us save the planet. If we're going to look and follow our money, how can we ensure that our money doesn't go to supporting fossil fuel extraction and supporting companies who don't care about our planet and supporting projects that deforest our beautiful trees and forests around the world. And we're going to look at also how quite straightforward it can be to support the good stuff, to support the companies that do care, that are making an effort, who are reforesting and rewilding around the world. We're going to keep our detective glasses on and look at our stuff as well, and look at where our stuff is coming from, what it's made from, and where it's going to. And again, we're going to look at how it can be quite fun and straightforward to find out those things, and also then to ensure that those things don't end up in a smelly landfill behind your house, because that's where they're coming to. They're going to be all around us very soon. But actually we can use those things for much better purposes. And we're going to keep those magnifying glasses out again and start to look a little bit into the world of citizen science, which is such an exciting thing to do. Citizen science is where, as citizens of this world, we take part in monitoring biodiversity in small and really big ways. We monitor seaweed, we monitor butterflies, hedgehogs, whatever it might be in the landscapes around you. And that information has a huge impact on scientific projects. And it really provides the data that those scientists need to understand how climate change is impacting our biodiversity already and what we can do about it. And finally, what we're going to look at is some of the really exciting careers that are coming to the fore now, where we can all make significant change as our jobs. So we're going to be talking about a huge variety of careers, from environmental law and becoming an environmental lawyer to working in politics and how that can help you to help our world, to rewilding specialists where you get to be outside a lot of the time and be in nature, to farming, and to, if you're excited about cars or houses, how you can look at a career to be a designer in one of those areas. And of course, we're going to talk about being an environmental artist as well, whether it's a writer or a painter or a drawer or a poet, whatever you're interested in. There are so many ways that you can help spread the word as an artist. So it's going to be an action-packed session, and I'm so looking forward to seeing you all there. There will also be a Q&A at the end of the session for about 15 minutes, which is always the best part, because the young people always have the best questions for me and we get the most discussion out of that part. So I really hope to see as many of you as possible in that session. And in the meantime, I thought I might share with you a little bit of inspiration, and also to thank you as teachers for everything that you do, and everything particularly that you do already to help inspire your young people to save our beautiful planet. So I thought I would just do a really quick top 5 tips on what you as teachers can do to engage your school and use the power of your school to make incredible change. Now, the first thing is very much around joining up with other schools. And it could be that you're already part of the Eco Schools initiative or one of the other wonderful initiatives like WRF's Green Schools. If you're not, look into it. You can get really inspired by what other schools are doing, and most of these are free, and they will offer you support to help you become a greener school. They're really exciting, and one of those campaigns that's out there at the moment, which for me is really ambitious, is one called Let's Go Zero. Now, you will have heard many companies looking at going carbon zero. Wonderful. But there are also many schools. And if you go to www.letsgozero.org, you will find a wealth of information to help you move towards going carbon zero by 2030. It sends a hugely powerful message if you're signed up to any of these campaigns to the government that that you care and that you need and want their help, which I think they can certainly do more on. But it also sends a message to your students, your teachers, your board, and all the other schools and the communities around you that you take this seriously. And that is the most important thing you can do as a school. Now, secondly, thirdly, and fourthly, my top tips would be look at what your biggest impacts are. Most schools, so I can't speak for every school, most schools' biggest contribution on carbon emissions is the energy that you use on a day-to-day basis to heat and light and power your school. So why not take this opportunity, as we're already going through an energy crisis at the moment for a variety of reasons. Take a look at your energy use. Do you currently have a green tariff, or do you still have a brown tariff that runs on fossil fuels? If you do, you might be really surprised at how competitive a renewable tariff can be. Renewable energy is now much cheaper than fossil fuels, so it's a really good time to swap your tariff. Is there room at your school for solar on your roofs? Is there room for ground source heat pumps in your school areas? Can you look at other sources like wind turbines? Could you share with other local schools? It's a really good time to take a look. And most schools are just really interested to understand that that is actually their biggest impact. And one really fun thing you can do with your students is to get a thermal imaging camera in and let the students look at how much energy you are losing and wasting unnecessarily. So it might be that you need some good insulation. Most schools do need more insulation. And I think that's going to be something we're going to see a lot more of in the news going forward. So watch this space. Your second largest contribution is bound to be your travel. So whether it's the travel of your students into your school and your teachers into the school, or it could also be school trips. Are you flying your students overseas or on certain school trips? So these, if you are, these will be your biggest contributions of your carbon footprint, of your carbon emissions. So it might be that you want to look at how you can reduce those. With the summer months coming, it's always easier to persuade people to look at cycling and walking to school if that's feasible for your school. But is it also feasible to look at different school trips which are a little bit closer to home, where people don't need to fly? Because that is a huge impact, as I'm sure many of you know. And I'm sure many of you will also know that a huge impact of any organisation, not just schools of course, is the food that they serve in their canteens. And school lunches are of no exception. And what many of you will already know is that meat, especially red meat, is very impactful, produces great large carbon footprints compared to any vegetarian or vegetable-based meal. Has a far lower impact. And is that something that you could work on right now before you come and see the session in August? A lot more people are happy to eat more vegetables. And the other element is, of course, can you grow some of those vegetables and involve your students in that way? Because what we know is that growing vegetables in our own gardens and allotments or school grounds, the impact, the carbon emissions of course, so much lower, but the nutrient content is so much higher. And if it's also a way that you can engage your students on climate change and what they can do, then it's a really powerful thing for you to do. Now, the last suggestion I would make for how to inspire your students and how to use your impact as a school and as a teacher is, of course, talking to your students about nature and talking to them about what they love about nature, because this can really inspire, as you will get from the session, it can really inspire people to do incredible things by drawing on their passions. And as all of us will know, as young children, we all love nature, and it's such an important passion to rekindle, because we really need everybody to love this beautiful world if we're going to save it. So they're just some ideas, and I hope they're really useful, and I so look forward to seeing you in August. And yeah, have a good few months until then. And thank you for everything that you do as teachers, because I know it's not an easy job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Georgina. We can't wait to hear more about climate action in your event on Schools Gala Day. So, as Rachel said, we're delighted to be bringing back Gala Day to the festival this year. For any of you that haven't been to Gala Day before, it's the final day of the festival and our entire site is closed to everyone except primary school classes. Now, we love a theme at the book festival, and I personally love forcing my colleagues to dress up. And this year, our theme for Gala Day will be Planet Protectors, focusing on the climate crisis, which of course is the most important issue of our times. As well as a range of author events, fiction and non-fiction, exploring nature and the environment, pupils will also be able to browse our eco-marketplace, featuring a variety of environmental organisations offering information on how and why your pupils should get involved in trying to protect our precious natural environment. We'll also be joined by the wonderful Cool Creatures, who will bring a selection of reptiles, insects and mammals for pupils to explore, a reminder of why we need to work now to help save the habitats they live in. And we would love you to join our staff in dressing up as your favourite animal, whether that's bunny ears, a panda onesie, or an intricately crafted armadillo costume. You can, of course, meet our authors after their events with you and get them to sign your free books, and you might also bump into one of your favourite costume characters around site. And we'd really encourage you to make a day of your trip to the festival and enjoy a picnic lunch in our beautiful courtyard, either undercover or sitting in the grass in the sun, depending on what weather we have. There's also a cafe available for snacks, coffees and lunch, and that's open throughout the festival, not only on Schools Gala Day. I'm now going to talk a little bit about our wonderful online resources. They are created in collaboration with the wonderful Shapes for Schools, and last year were a finalist in the Education Resources Awards. They're multidisciplinary and encourage your class to get creative and get more out of your event with us, whether you're attending the festival in person or watching in your classroom. They'll be available in advance of the festival at learning.edbookfest.co.uk, and all of the resources from previous years are still available on the site, alongside many event recordings, so please do take a look back and see if there's anything of use to you in your class. Finally, I wanted to mention a very special learning disability friendly event which we have this year as part of our schools programme. The event is with an awesome author duo, Steve and Anne Brusetta. Steve's actually a paleontologist from Edinburgh University and was a consultant for the most recent Jurassic Park film. And their book, Dougie the Dinosaur, is based on real dinosaur remains which Steve and his team discovered in the Isle of Skye. We've paired Anne and Steve up with the Arts End of Somewhere, an amazing inclusive arts collective based in Dumfries, and our friends at PAMIS's Art for Wellbeing group. And together they're going to work to create an immersive sensory story based around Dougie the Dinosaur and suitable for everyone's learning disabilities. We really hope you can join us to experience it. So all that's left for us to do now is to give you our all-important booking information.
Our Baillie Gifford School programme is available to browse now on learning.edbookfest.co.uk.
To book events in person, you can fill in the online booking form and submit it from the 3rd of May.
And to watch events online, you register and book online from 8th of June at edbookfest.co.uk. There's no limit to how many people can be watching our events online and no deadline for signing up. So you can decide when to watch and log in after 8th of June.
And shortly after the live stream, all schools events will also be available to watch on demand on our learning site.
Thank you for listening, and we're now going to go to our Q&A section.